Yeah, Teach Me Please. How good is this, ladies and gentlemen? I'm very excited today. I've got a special treat for you. It's very, very exciting. I've had the pleasure of doing this taste test before, but I'm back in again. And before I introduce you to my incredible guests, this episode of Teach Me Please is brought to you by our beautiful friends at Cobram Estate, Australia's most awarded extra virgin olive oil. And without further ado, can I please introduce Leandro and Sian? How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
What's going on?
Oh, we're excited to be here today. Thanks for having
very
us.
excited.
Absolutely.
I'm going to push this closer to you because we're like it's like Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
like one step away from the mic. Hey, Leandro, we're friends.
Absolutely.
We met up at the Grove, Boundary Bend.
Yeah, last harvest. It was
we?
good fun to have you over there.
We got like drunk off extra virgin olive oil.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Is that
yes.
possible? Because that happened to me, I think.
I think you went a little bit hard.
It was very good. We met up there and I absolutely loved it. Had an awesome day. And big shout out to Amy, Charlie and Erin who are in the studio today too. Round of applause for the girls.
Hey.
We made some great friends up at Boundary Bend with Cobram, and today we've got Sian in too, who is incredible title here, Lead Healthcare Professional Educator.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah, I'm a dietitian. I think that's probably easier to get your mouth around.
Love that. So you work obviously with Cobram. Leandro, you're the co-CEO, chief oil maker, expertise in extra virgin olive oil, and responsible for creating all of Cobram's signature blends, which we're going to try today.
Yeah, absolutely. And officially, I'm also the oldest serving employee of the company.
That wasn't needed. That wasn't needed, mate. You didn't need to say that because you look handsome AF, and I think it's got a lot to do with the extra
Olive oil,
virgin
yeah,
olive
absolutely.
oil.
85 years old.
Yeah. Oh my God, Darcy Donk, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Dylan. I'm excited for this today, mate.
They didn't bring you in any, but I said I need my Darcy to
Yep.
do some testing today because we did the with Megan Mall a while back. We did how to taste wine, and today we're doing how to taste extra virgin olive oil, which I genuinely before was lucky enough to go up to the beautiful Grove there at Boundary Bend and actually learn a lot about olive oil. Like that it's not just one sort of thing in every bottle. There's so many sort of intricacies and how it's made and the health benefits and all these bits and pieces. I was genuinely amazed. That's when I asked you guys, I was like, can we please do a Teach Me Please about olive oil? Because there are so many things. And also, I did forget a lot of them at the event, so I want to go through them again. But quickly, would love to sort of chat about, Leandro, your role and then Sian, yours, and about what you guys do at Cobram and how it all sort of works. How big is Cobram even too, which I was amazed with how big the Grove was.
It's actually quite large. In my case, I'm originally from Argentina, where I started working as a researcher with olives, over 25 years ago, and moved to Australia right at the time that Cobram was about to make the very first olive oil in 2001. So, been with the company for 22 years and nearly, as many harvesters and harvests over there. So it was actually a pretty good journey, and the company sort of grew with the support mainly of Australian consumers over that time, and developed into one of the largest fully vertically integrated companies around the world.
I didn't realize how big Cobram was. I didn't realize how so much you send it like all over the world. How many trees is there again? I said like 10 million, but is that too many?
No, it's about 2.5 million.
Okay.
But that's
in the millions.
that's actually plenty.
Yeah.
Just to put a perspective, we produce at Cobram Estate more olive oil than France, for example, or more olive oil than Israel. So really more olive oil than whole countries or big regions like Tuscany, for example. People usually associate olive oil, Tuscany, Italy. Well, we produce more olive oil than Tuscany.
That's what's hectic. I didn't realize how much, we get export out of our country. Like we're not known for it, but internationally we must be.
Well, it's quite interesting because the Australian olive oil industry itself is actually quite small. In world terms, we produce less than 1%, but us as a company actually very, very large, given the scale that we are allowed to have here. And we have been, in a sense, also driving a very large growth in the consumption of extra virgin olive oil in Australia, which is fantastic. It doubled the consumption in the past 20 years, and largely was on the back of the growth of the Australian olive oil industry, which was virtually non-existent 20 years ago. There was hardly any olive oil produced in Australia at all, last century.
Unbelievable. And when you go up there, you can see how big it is, how many people it's actually, supporting. Sian, dietitian, getting involved in olive oil. What was your thoughts around this? How did it all come about?
Yeah.
And I watched a show on Netflix. It was called Blue Zones.
Yes, I've heard. I haven't watched it yet.
So
I will
good.
admit, but I really want to.
It's
I've heard
like
a lot about it.
101 pub chat.
Yeah.
Like it's like I bring it up. If people ask me a bit more about it, I'm like, just watched one series on it. Like, I don't know a lot about it, but it's about people living the longest. And in Sardinia, I think, is one of the blue zones. And they base themselves off the European sort of lifestyle, diet, and olive oil is a big feature in their diet. It's funny, isn't it? Because like when you talk about olive oil, and even prior to coming up, I was like, oh, oil, it's a fat. It mustn't be good for you.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. And I think that's because back in the day, there was that sort of low fat was kind of, I guess, the diet of choice. Everyone was a bit scared of fat, but that's definitely been debunked. And yeah, like the Mediterranean diet, which is what they, follow in Sardinia, that's sort of consistently rated as one of the healthiest eating patterns in the world. And they definitely use extra virgin olive oil liberally, and lots of healthy fats. So yeah.
I reckon there's some 101s before, because we're doing a tasting. 101s to get into before the tasting. I think we talk about the difference between extra virgin olive oil and olive oil, just to set that precedent. And then, do you reckon before the tasting we talk about how it goes from a tree to bottle? Because that was an amazing process that I couldn't believe. And I'm going to be completely honest here. Before I went up, I know olive oil, the word is in the name, but I just didn't think it was actually an olive that was a part of the olive oil.
Yeah.
Is that, can you tell me that that's like some people think that, or is that just me?
It certainly, it's part of what we have done over the past 20 years is a lot of education.
Okay.
Essentially for a product that is not naturally common in Australia or in many other countries, it just takes a fair bit to educate. And pretty simple. We can get into the process because then the process leads to what is extra virgin and what is not extra virgin. In very simple terms, extra virgin olive oil is the juice of the olive. We pick the olive from the tree in our groves. We very quickly take that olive to our mill. We crush it. And then after mixing that paste, for about an hour, we spin it out. The oil comes out one end, the rest of the paste on the other end. That's it. It's finished. Very simple, straightforward process, very natural product. And that's one of the things that are really making extra virgin olive oil so special over other fats, is the fact that it's really a very natural product with no chemicals, no heat treatments or anything that goes with it. It's just really and simply the juice of the olive.
The time amazed me from like actually getting a olive off a tree. So even from planting to being fully grown to then picking to bottle. What is that time again? It was crazy.
The one of the things that actually make us very special, as a company or as a olive oil producer in the world, is the fact that because we control everything, which is actually quite unique, we are able to take the fruit from the tree to the mill and then convert it into olive oil, and in fact then put it into a bottle within a very, very short time frame. The fruit goes from the tree, converted into oil inside the tank within 4 to 6 hours. It's actually a really, really quick process. And you may be asking, what does it has to do with quality? Well, it's the same like with almost any other juice. If you're doing really good orange juice, you really want to pick a fresh orange that really is great, straight from the tree, squeeze it straight away. Well, the sooner that you do that, the better that juice is going to taste like. Exactly the same goes with extra virgin olive oil.
Olive juice.
Yeah, and it's important for the health benefits as well. So even the freshness, the fresher it is, the healthier it is, because those antioxidants, and we'll get into that a little bit later.
I like that word.
They do start to kind of degrade over time. So if we can get them, from the tree to pressing them as quickly as we can, then we're going to lock in the antioxidants as well.
So usually when people talk about the health benefits of extra virgin of olive oil or how good olive oil tastes like, they're always really referring to extra virgin olive oil, which is the top of the game. Is absolutely the highest quality. Everything else will be clearly a step low in terms of how it tastes or the amount of health benefits that will bring to your diet.
So extra virgin versus olive oil, what's the main differences?
Extra virgin would be when the fruit is picked at its optimal time, crushed straight away, and the oil has no what we describe as organoleptic defects. When the oil tastes really great. And this is what we're going to be doing today. The moment that the fruit is not so great because been affected by pest or disease or took too long between harvesting and processing, that oil that is not great from the flavor point of view and also from the chemistry point of view is called virgin. And if it's really bad, you pick the fruit from the ground and the fruit is rotten and the oil that produces is not suitable for human consumption. The industry called that lampante because in the old days it used to be burnt in lamps. But now obviously electricity is a bit cheaper than what it was to be 2,000 years ago. So what happens with that oil? It gets refined, so treated with chemicals and heat to be able to strip all the bad flavors, but also regretfully they stripped also the good things in the oil, and that being what we call refined olive oil or pure olive oil. So anything that it doesn't say extra virgin olive oil is likely to be a refined product.
Really? That's pretty crazy because I'm big on eggs, right? Like I like, you know, you can look at eggs and you're like cage-free, farm-fed, and it says all this stuff on it, but a similar thing, I always try and go for organic eggs. I don't know why. Eggs are a little bit weird. I don't know why we're talking about eggs, but eggs are a little bit strange. And I just want to make sure they're like the best eggs possible. So what we're saying is when we're reading a bottle of olive oil, as long as it has extra virgin on it, it's necessarily going to be a high quality. It's crazy though to know that now that like anything less than that isn't very good.
That's usually a first guide about, well, how do I know what to choose in the supermarket? There's usually a big diverse range of oil there. Definitely go extra virgin first. Second, as we're going to describe, it is a fresh product. It is a fresh juice. So the fresher that you have it, the better it will be for you, the better it will taste. So another thing to look for is harvest date. You check for the harvest date. In Australia, harvest goes between April and May every year. So by now, for example, in November, December, we should be buying 2023 harvest, which is sort of the harvest that happened 6 months ago. That's the freshest oil available. If it says 2022, 2021, or it doesn't say anything at all, it's clearly an older oil, and you're not going to get all the benefits that you expect out of that product.
What about cooking though with olive oil? This is...
That's like one of the questions I reckon I get asked more than anything else in my job.
Not about eggs?
Not about eggs, no. That's in my old job, yes, but not in this job.
Yeah, makes sense.
So often people unfortunately think you can't cook with extra virgin olive oil.
Because they think it's just like a charcuterie, like a board
They think it's
thing.
just for, like marinades and dressings, salads, but that's absolutely not true. You can cook with it. You should cook with it. It's perfectly safe. One of the most stable cooking oils to cook with, because that's what the myth is. It's all around smoke point. I don't know if you've heard of smoke point before.
I have, but explain for the listeners.
Well, this is the thing. Most people, they'll say that. They'll just be like, oh, because of smoke point. And you're like, do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is, to be completely honest.
Not many people do. It's basically just the point that the oil starts to smoke, but that's not necessarily meaning that the oil is actually breaking down. Yeah. So from our perspective, we would always say that smoke point is not the best indicator of how well an oil is going to perform at heat. So there's other things that you should be looking for in an oil. And there's research to back it up to show that extra virgin olive oil actually is one of the most stable oils. And that's because of its fat profile, which again, we can talk about a little bit later, but it's got a certain type of fat in there that is just naturally more stable. And the antioxidants, that word again, they also protect the oil from breaking down.
Love that.
So you can use it.
And the thing is also when you're cooking, people don't usually think that when you're cooking something with oil, let's suppose you're frying your chicken schnitzel in an oil. There's a lot of interaction happening between the schnitzel and the oil. So plenty of the fat in the chicken will migrate to the oil that you're frying it with, and a fair bit of the oil that you're using is migrating into the chicken breast that you're frying. So at the end of the day, the piece of chicken that you're eating has a lot to do how healthy it is or how good it tastes, the fatty acid composition, the amount of antioxidant is linked to the type of oil that you use. So the better the oil that you use to cook it with, the better that piece of chicken will taste and will be for you.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Charles, she's fist pumping.
Yeah, she's excited.
She likes the fat, the smoke points.
No, she doesn't like the smoke points.
She doesn't like smoke points. Exactly. No, we don't like that.
No.
To go back on that, this is something that I am always actually very intrigued with, and it's just a broader question about olive oil. When do you put it in the pan?
What do you mean? When do you put it in the pan?
A heated pan?
Yep. Heat it up. Heat the pan.
Heat
get
the pan
a bit
up,
warm.
then put the olive oil on,
or
put it on and then heat it.
I usually heat the pan.
Leandro's
let it get
having
warm.
You don't matter?
Doesn't change.
Okay.
Doesn't change the
Really?
outcome. Provided that you don't really go over the top with heat, not just with olive oil, with any other oils.
Yeah.
You just want to keep it within the right temperature, 150, 160, 180 degrees, depending on the type of cooking.
It's a good point, isn't it? Like my cooking's either stove off or stove like fully blasting, and I think that's where I make the
low and slow.
Low
I
and
think
slow.
is what
I
they
know.
say. Low
very
and slow.
impatient. Very impatient. All right.
You want
Great
to get
start.
on to the
Let's
tasting?
get into some tasting.
Okay.
Come on, let's do it.
We'll start
I
with
will
the first
say this,
one.
Sian, as well. Before I do have this. I was really lucky, as I said, to get out there last time.
Thank you.
To the Grove, and we, in like the factory, as soon as they take it off, it goes in and goes like into that first what is it called, Leandro? Help me out here. Like when the oil goes in, where the fuck does it go, Leandro? It goes in somewhere. It goes off the tree, and it's pouring into the
harvester,
thing.
and then goes into the bin, and then into the oil tap.
Into the oil tap. That's the word I was thinking. And we were there, and Leandro like grabbed this cup, and he's like filling them all up. And mine, he was talking for a while, and he filled it up to like it was like probably 75 mils. Maybe even more.
Well, there you go.
Maybe 200 mils. And I was like, I can't be rude here. You sort of were sipping on these olive oil. And I ended up just like necking the whole thing. It was very oily, but it was beautiful.
You thought that was a truly an olive oil shot?
Yeah, it was.
Well, you would have got your whole, recommended amount in one shot.
A lot of antioxidants.
There you go. Yeah.
So it was good.
Bet you felt very healthy after that.
These are the fancy caps. These are the caps that officially tasters use to taste extra virgin olive oil.
So we've got 3 levels today. Is that right? So
three different oils. We're gonna taste a couple of good ones and a bad one. I'll explain a little bit about what to look for when you're tasting extra virgin olive oil. The reason why the caps are blue is so we don't, as a taster, be able to see the color of the oil. So the oils could be green, it could be golden color, and could be good or bad regardless of the color. So because color doesn't matter from the quality point of view with olive oils, tasting caps are blue, we just take the color away. So we just focus on 2 things: how it smells, how it tastes. Pretty simple.
That's very interesting.
What you will look for with the smell, it needs to remind you of something fresh. So if we smell the oil, take a really nice sip, and it reminds you of anything fresh. Could be fresh juice, fresh fruit, fresh vegetable, fresh cut grass.
That smells like apple juice.
Apple juice.
It has some apple notes. It has also some tomato notes. Just like especially the tomato leaves or the tomato. When you're chopping a tomato for a tomato salad, you get a little bit of that. Yeah, there's a little bit of fresh cut grass when you're mowing the lawn at home. Yeah, it's a bit of that, but they're all
grated
subtle. Yeah, grated apple. Yeah, exactly.
Got a good nose.
Specifically grated.
It's great. I don't know why I was a kid when I was sick. My mum used to give me grated apple, and it just takes me back.
Absolutely, those are all the notes. So very subtle, fresh, nice, inviting, and then we take a sip.
Are we going to do
75 mils in one shot.
No, not
just enough to coat your mouth. And what we're after in the mouth is just to get that mouth feel. Good extra virgin olive oil, because it's a fresh juice, it should actually not feel oily at all. So sometimes that's surprising. I'm going to be tasting olive oil and it's not going to feel oily now. Actually, it should disappear from your mouth pretty quickly, leaving your mouth with a very clean, easy tasting feeling. Let's go for it.
Let's do it.
What I do is they suck in that air.
I did that with the wine tasting as well.
Yeah, similar. Well, that's what you do is...
Aerates it.
It aerates it, almost like you're doing a spray.
I'm getting a bit of pepper.
Yeah, you're doing. I mean, that's the other thing that we get in there. The natural antioxidants in oil will actually make or feel like a bit bitter, like as if you're having a black coffee, a bit of drying sensation on the side of your tongue, and also a bit of a peppery tingling on the back of your throat. All that is because of the antioxidant. The more antioxidants in the oil, the more that you're going to feel that. And this is what we, as tasters, describe the oil style. This oil is probably a medium range. Let's say if we compare that with wines, would be like a Pinot Noir or, better like Pinot Noir, an easy drinking wine. You get a little bit, not too much. We're going to be going for a more robust one, which is essentially the one with more antioxidants. You'll feel a lot bitter, a lot more pungent. Yeah. And it just goes with different styles.
So this is a mild, this is
a mild to medium oil.
Good. Good extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah, this is our Cobram Estate classic.
Standard.
Yeah.
The standard oil that goes into a purple label in the supermarket is a very easy all-rounder, can be used for cooking, dressing, salad. Again, those tomato notes, those green notes, for example, if you think about a caprese salad, you got a creamy cheese, the basil, fresh tomato. This oil will tide everything up because you got the fruitness of the tomato, apple, bit, the creaminess or the fattiness goes with the cheese, and also the fresh green components of the basil. Just tie it all together makes a really good result.
That feeling, Darcy, I'm just looking at you here.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the tannin.
Oh, are you
it's
sure?
Different. No,
I know you have issues with that.
It is. They're chemically, they're cousins.
Cousins, there you go.
they develop very similar feeling. So that the astringency that you get out of the tannins on red wine are very, very closely chemically related to the antioxidants in olive oil.
What were the tannins again?
Tannins.
I'm just asking you, because I know.
They are... The tannin is only in red wine.
Only in red wine, yes.
So I can't remember what the tannin was, but I do remember what it felt like in the throat.
And this is why I'm saying this oil would be
is a Pinot.
Equivalent one to a Pinot Noir. Yeah. So something with relatively low levels of tannin, so easy drinking oil, easy to use. The second one that we're gonna have is much higher. Would be like having a big Shiraz.
Yeah,
Something
right.
really high on tannins. It's a very different mouthfeel, very different composition.
It's interesting because on the it's actually quite going the other way with the wine podcast we did with Meg and Mel. We'd be like, what would you pair this with cooking wise? If you're cooking something with this one, what would it go best with?
I use that for everything.
Is that like
That's
just
like my go-to.
your go-to?
If I'm just going to cook every night, I go for this one personally. You're probably a bit more...
Technically, on the cooking side,
Technically.
you go similar to wines. You go with the milder oils, the oils with lower level of antioxidants, our classic and our light flavor oils. They go with food that you don't want to be overpowered by the flavor of the oil. If you're doing fish or seafood, if you're preparing mayonnaise, you just go with this oil, but also as butter replacement. If you don't want to use butter in your baking, if you're going to be doing cakes or muffins, well, instead of using butter, you use olive oil, you use this one. Fantastic result.
What did we do at the Grove again when we cooked up the olive cake?
That's one of our secrets.
Shit.
The olive oil gets a really well.
Can we talk about that? No.
Goes really well with some cakes in particular. For example, with carrot cake, because the carrot cake is a bit of a spicy cake.
Yeah.
It goes really well replacing the butter with olive oil. But also you can use the extra virgin olive oil, good extra virgin olive oil, to do the icing.
Yes, just the icing, that's it. Yeah,
you just essentially pour a little bit of olive oil on top of icing sugar. That's all what it is. You mix it until you get the right texture you want. Perfect icing, really healthy icing.
Darcy, we did this. I don't know if we can actually talk about it. It might be Cobram secret, but they put this olive oil with some icing on a cake, olive cake.
Good.
Beautiful. Yeah, it was I'll make you some.
Please
next week. I will do that. Perfect. So stock standard, here it is. Anything else worth noting about this, or more health stuff in the next?
I reckon we'll talk about the health stuff in the next one,
Okay.
because as Leandro said, there's even more antioxidants in that next one.
If you were not sure what bitterness should taste like with extra virgin olive oil, in the next one you're going to have
We'll
it.
know.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to try it?
Yes, please. I like the blue cups. Smart.
Are we going to do like the warming up?
We do the same. I mean, sometimes technically the ideal tasting temperature is 28 degrees. We have electric mats where we'll keep the oil at that temperature for official tastings, but here we use sometimes the back of our hand just to warm it up a little bit.
Yep.
Spin it around, let it coat the side of a glass, so it will help to release even more aroma, similar to what you do with the wine. And then when we smell it, this oil again will have fresh smell, but very different than the previous one. Very, very, very different. Anything that you like to pick and you describe on this one?
Do you have to close your eyes when you smell? Or is that just...
Yes. It's almost like when you're eating the jelly beans, without checking the color.
Yeah.
I think, what is this flavor?
Yeah,
Is this the popcorn one?
It's hard to pick it out what it is, yeah.
It's hard until Leandro tells you, and
Yeah,
then
then
you're
you're
like,
like, oh, that's what it is.
yeah, I
This
do
one
smell
has
that.
the
like
most
almost
dominant
sour
for me. Sour apple.
Apples.
There's a bit of apple. There's definitely also very clear green almonds, almost like the marzipan, the almond paste. It's a very clear taste. It's a bit of cinnamon in there, in that smell. So it's almost like having a strudel. You have the whole apple, cinnamon,
I get the cinnamon.
and
I get the cinnamon. Cinnamon.
and so it's a very interesting and people may be asking, okay, why olive oils can taste differently? And it's mainly driven by the varieties. It's similar with wine. Different varieties of grapes give you different wines. With olives, it's the same thing. Different varieties of olives will give you different oil styles. Where you grow them and how early you pick them in the season also have a bit of an influence on the style of the oil, but fundamentally it's the different cultivar that you use that really drives those different flavors, being a bit milder with different fruity flavors or being a little more robust, like in this case. This is what we would describe more of a sharper, robust, oil. And when you take a sip, you're gonna get all those things happening in your mouth. And it's a little bit like a Mexican feast.
It's got me.
Yeah, so you
Oh,
got
yeah,
that.
it takes a second as well.
I just breathed it in, but it was very good.
This is you get all
That's
that.
the tannins.
It's almost like a chili sensation, just all tingling around your mouth,
Do you know
and
what's
you're just
quite interesting,
really,
Leandro?
quite strong.
People should, when listening to this, go back and actually grab some bottles and do it with us, because I don't know many people who just trial it without. Sorry, there's something in my throat. I don't know many people who trial it without actually having it. Not many people would have ever drank olive oil.
I know, and I think people think, like we were saying, that it's going to leave your mouth feeling fatty, but it doesn't. Like
No,
your
it
mouth
slides
feels
off.
clean and
It
fresh.
disappears. It disappears very quickly, and that's one of the key characteristics of good quality extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah.
It should really disappear from your mouth within 5 to 10 seconds. You may still have that chili feeling.
Yeah,
It's
but it's
almost
not
like when
oily.
you have
No.
spicy food, but no oily
Yeah.
feelings at all.
Like, when you put sunscreen on and you think it's going to
Yeah.
you think
Greasy.
but it doesn't do that.
No, and that, as I think Leandro was saying before, that little tickle that you get in the back of your throat was an antioxidant. It's a specific antioxidant called oleocanthal, and that's what's, tickling the back of your throat.
Yeah, wow.
There
I
you
want to
go.
get into
Quite
health
interesting.
benefits in 2 seconds. Just one
Yep.
question before about that one. So with the olives, are they like a rarer olive, like the better they are, or is this more of a different taste, or is it actually better for you as well? The harsher it is, not harsher, but the
Technically, it is better for you,
Yeah.
but I'm going to jump a little bit into
Yeah.
Sian's territory. There's only so much antioxidants that you can actually take and your body can use
Gotcha.
every day. So essentially, even this one that is milder, if you use what is normally recommended, 2-3 tablespoons a day, you will have still plenty of antioxidants. Everything else is extra, and
Gotcha.
our body will just eliminate it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Love it. All right, let's get down to some of the health stuff as well.
Woo.
Where do I start?
Well, I guess there's sort of two areas that we talk about with extra virgin olive oil that contribute to how healthy it is. One's that fat profile that I was talking about sort of earlier. And I listened to your podcast with Dom Kondo.
Yes, Dom Kondo.
Sports dietitian.
Dr. Dom, yes, she's fantastic.
which
Shout
was
out to Dr.
excellent.
Dom. Yes,
Yeah,
very,
I
very
love
good.
that. So
We'll have to send her some more.
yeah, we've met Dom through Cobram
course you have,
before,
of course you
so
have.
yeah, she hopefully is a fan.
Well, only the best work together, am I right? And including us.
But I think she kind of talked a little bit about fats as well.
Yes.
So the fat profile, so all oils are fats, but they're made up of different types of fats. So we've kind of broadly got healthy fats, unhealthy fats. I think Dom went through this, but the main fat in extra virgin olive oil is monounsaturated fat. So it's about 75% monounsaturated fat. And that's one of the what we call healthy fats. So monounsaturated fats in particular are really good for heart health. So that's kind of one part of it.
Isn't it so funny with oil, because you think it's good for heart health, and you say, like, well, if you eat deep fried food and it's in oil, it's
Yeah.
bad for you. So
Yeah, well, again, it depends on the type of
Exactly,
oil, and
yes.
it's still that hangover from that low-fat era.
Yeah.
But as I said, that's been debunked. Having healthy fats is really important in your diet. They're important for lots of different things. They help you absorb certain vitamins, the fat-soluble vitamins. But yeah, the monounsaturated fats particularly can help with like your cholesterol, which we know can contribute to your heart health. Yeah. So that's one part of it. But the other part that we've sort of alluded to today is the antioxidants, and that's also really unique to extra virgin olive oil. So the extra virgin olive oil has lots of natural antioxidants in there, and that's what's kind of really special, really unique about the oil. So those antioxidants are really important for your health as well, again, for your heart health. But yeah, heart health would be one of the main benefits of extra virgin olive oil, but those antioxidants are great for just, the aging, your general well-being, and all sorts of things.
What is an antioxidant? I know that's a very
No,
basic
it's not
question,
a stupid
but
question
yeah.
because we throw these terms around all the time.
Yeah.
But antioxidants, I guess, they're quite important because what they do is they kind of go around and mop up what we call free radicals.
Mm-hmm.
So free radicals are these little molecules that can cause damage to your cells. So they can be caused by just natural aging, just the natural kind of process of creating energy, but they can also come from pollution, from smoking, through just poor lifestyle. So if you've got too many free radicals in the body, they can start to damage your cells. So essentially antioxidants go around and they like neutralize or mop up the free radicals.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's
Great
a bit technical.
explanation, by the way. That's like very good way to explain
and there's
that.
like hundreds of different
Yes.
antioxidants.
Yeah.
And our bodies, in general terms, really enjoy the diversity of those.
Yep.
And most of the antioxidants, and normally when people talk about antioxidants, you immediately think about blueberries, strawberries, green tea, and they actually certainly loaded of antioxidants. But most of those antioxidants are water soluble, so they and one of the big differences and one of the unique things about the antioxidants in olive oil that they are fat soluble. So that allows those antioxidants to target, in particular, some of the fatty tissues in our bodies. Some cell walls. Our nervous system. They're all really fairly rich in fat, and that's why they're very specific to help with that. But probably one of the things that make, I would say, extra virgin olive oil so important, such a critical part of the Mediterranean diet, that's probably one of the best researched diets, is that it actually makes the eating of a plant-based diet way more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And because of that, you end up eating more of those natural products, and the antioxidants in olive oil, the antioxidants present in all those other vegetables and fruits to some extent will just really make what we think is a very well-balanced diet and overall really good for us.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, so I think, some people might think vegetables or salad maybe don't taste that great. I don't think that. But, but if you put extra virgin olive oil on there, it helps the taste. So it sort of facilitates vegetables, which is what we say.
Come on, broccoli without extra virgin olive oil is very hard.
No, thank you. And is it similar to like the steak and chicken thing, saying that they bring out the best in each other?
They do. I mean, some of the nutrients that are present in the vegetables that our bodies want to, they need a fat component to be absorbed because they are fat soluble. So when you eat a raw carrot, you may have a certain amount of nutrients that will be absorbed in your body at a certain rate. When you have the carrots that have been fried in or sauteed in olive oil, you will absorb different nutrients and in different rates. Depending on how the vegetable have been cooked, that changes the way that all those nutrients will interact with each other and how our bodies will absorb them.
Unbelievable. What would you use this olive oil with? If the other one's more around foods that don't want to be overtaken, would this be more of like a flavouring one?
This is the opposite. Will be just when you want the oil to be the main star of the dish, when you want the oil to be the sauce, like a freshly made pasta with a bit of this oil, just a bit of garlic, a bit of parsley, truffle. If it's a truffle season, you can grate a little bit of truffle on top of it. That's it. But they're all pretty strong flavors that match each other, marinating red meats. But also, surprisingly, the fact that this oil is bitter. Sometimes people think, oh, well, bitter oil, I'm not sure if I like it. Well, it's always important to place it in the context of cooking. We may not enjoy a spoonful of black pepper, but a bit of pepper on the steak goes really well. Yeah. Same goes with this oil. And there's little tricks that we normally play with. One of those will be, for example, if you dip piece of dark chocolate into this oil and you eat it, in your mouth it will feel a bit like milk chocolate. And I think, well, how can it be? I'm eating a bitter chocolate with bitter oil and it feels like a much smoother flavor. Well, what happens is the fat in the oil will be covering the antioxidants in the chocolate that gives the chocolate the bitter flavor, and the fat in the chocolate will be covering the antioxidants in the olive oil and making the most of a flavor, but with a sort of toned down version of a bitterness.
So much to think about. Darcy, do you do this for dinner? Do you think about this?
I'm going to now.
Yeah, I'm going to as well, because it's funny. I was lucky enough to, when we went up to the Grove, I got a couple beautiful bottles, a couple of the top shelf ones as well. And funnily enough, I used them in the wrong way. Like I put because I thought the good one, I'll use it on everything. It's the good one.
You were deep frying.
You can.
I wasn't deep frying it, but I did make, I was using the one that we used the first, the mild one on everything, was great. But then I used the really heavier blend, this one, on, I was cooking my eggs and I like to fry them up, really like to fry them up, as people would know. But when I put them in my my baguette, I could still taste the oil.
Mm.
I was like, it's probably a little not right for this meal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned that one.
Yeah.
Correct, especially because eggs will to some extent have a fairly subtle
Why are we
flavor.
talking about eggs so much?
I know, you're a big egg fan.
Big egg guy. Yeah, real big egg guy.
It's personal preference. Some people who are like from the Mediterranean regions, we've got someone at work and she's Spanish and she loves that kind of really robust flavor because you're really used to it. So if you're someone that loves extra virgin olive oil,
you want
maybe
the big
you'll
flavor.
love that. But if you're not, if you're not used to it, or maybe you've cooked with other oils, then some of those more mild ones are probably the best place to start, so you don't feel that kick
in the teeth.
What we've got is a bad one as well.
I want to do the bad one.
Which we always do at the end of the tasting. So say, hey, this is just for you to identify
and this
what
isn't
olive
extra.
oil.
This is just
this is not extra
olive oil.
anymore. This is what olive oils should not taste like.
God. Okay.
And again, it's the opposite of the other oils. So if what is when you smell it doesn't remind you of something fresh, it reminds you of something that is a bit off.
That's disgusting.
Oh yeah, that's a bad
fruit.
one.
In this case, we get it could be winey. What we describe as winey could be a bit fusty, so a little bit of fermented. In a sense, a bit like a blue cheese baby vomit. It's used also to describe it.
Right.
Wet carpet, old socks.
Is this actually an olive oil?
Yes, it is olive oil. It's a bad olive oil. It is a bad olive oil.
Like on the shelf.
Yes, regretfully, there's a fair bit of that in the markets around the world, and that's one of the challenges. Regretfully, only 50% of the olive oil produced around the world is extra virgin. The other 50% is of a lower quality and end up being refined or not. But this is important. And sometimes could be just bad because the oil is too old. Even good olive oils after 3 or 4 years will eventually become rancid and will taste bad. It's funny, I got a story when I went out for first date with my current wife 6 years ago. Yeah. 6 years ago. And we're just having a very nice meal. And she said to me, I don't like olive oil. I think, oh, Jesus, this is a deal breaker. Yeah. And then what it happened and what I thought is that what she didn't like is this. And this is what she got exposed before. I said, look, wait for me. A couple of months later, got a fresh harvest, oil to her. Said, oh, I love this. This is not what I know as olive oil. I said, well, that's it. Probably what she knew about olive oil was this one, so a bad one. And sometimes when we hear a lot about this, olive oil is a bit too strong for me. I just don't. Well, as you've tasted from the other ones, none of them get really strong aromas or flavor. These are, if the flavor or if the aroma is actually a bit aggressive, most likely we're talking about something that is not right and it's not good olive oil. So I will encourage those that are thinking, I don't think that I like olive oil, it's too strong, to go and try, something good, a nice fresh Australian oil, and you most likely you're going to change the way that you see this product.
Love that.
And when we take a sip of this, sorry for that.
Yeah.
The mouthfeel again, very greasy and oily. It almost feels like a crayon or like you're chewing Play-Doh. Again, that waxy,
that waxy feeling.
Well, that's a complete contrast with the other oils. You can actually sip a bit of the other oils.
Yeah, I might take some of this one back to get that taste out of the mouth.
But it's very simple to pick up between a good and a bad oil. A good one, fresh aromas, very easy, clean mouthfeel. Bad olive oils.
The mild is like a palate cleanser.
I think I went for the strong one.
You went for the strong one. You got the body. I could drink that. Well, I have.
The mild?
Yeah.
And in terms of pairing, the last one goes well with your car. So if you need
or the bin.
Very good. You like that one?
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
Fantastic. I had a question before. I was thinking infused oils.
Yes.
Can we talk about them?
Yes, sure.
What's how does that work?
There's two different ways of producing infused oils or infused extra virgin olive oils, which are actually very common.
Yeah.
One is just simply crushing the fruit or the element that you want to infuse the oil with at the time of making the oil. Yeah, you could be doing...
It's like a chili oil.
Yeah. Suppose you want to do a chili oil, you just throw some chilies with the olives, crush the whole thing together, and the oil that comes out is chili oil.
Yeah.
Or you could be extracting the essential oil out of the chilies, extracting the extra virgin olive oil, and then just blending them together. Either way, we're talking about fairly natural products. And it's a easy, practical way of bringing some other flavors, garlic, onion, chili, lemon, into a cooking without actually having to peel and chop the garlic or peel and chop the onions. And there could be even some, nutritional implications. I think, particularly for those that are in a FODMAP diet.
Yeah, I was going to add that. I'm not sure if you've
FODMAP.
heard.
Yeah, I have a friend that's FODMAP.
Yeah, low FODMAP. So a lot of people who've got.
Could you explain that? That's like no garlic, onion, mushrooms.
Or there's all sorts like FODMAP. There's lots of different foods that have got FODMAPs because it stands for. I won't go into it.
He thinks that he got it. By the way, I just want to tell you how he thinks he got it. He went to Bali. And he swallowed pool water, and he thinks from that he got FODMAP.
Well, some people do get like a bad bout of like a bug or something, and it does affect their gut health.
Yeah.
And I remember you were talking to Dom about that. Big fan of gut health.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you've sort of affected
Swallowed
the
some
gut,
pool water.
swallowed some pool water, it can. So it can lead to some sort of intolerances and But there are people who need to follow a low FODMAP diet because they might have intolerances. Garlic and onion are really big ones. Like it seems to be a lot of people are intolerant to garlic and onion. But our infused extra virgin olive oils with garlic or onion are safe for the people who...
Really?
Yeah.
He's going to be so happy with that.
Yeah.
Because
you get the flavors without the nasty.
Exactly.
We go to like restaurants and it's, he's not trying to make a scene, but like he can't have even like salt, garlic salt on his chips or like on the steak or anything. It's
Yeah.
Sad.
I know, and it's very hard to find
Garlic
food
and onion are
without,
my favourite
yeah,
things.
and they're very essential to cooking,
Yeah.
I would say. So yeah, those products are really popular with people who are following the low FODMAP diet. So
That's really good to know.
Yeah, they're safe.
I will let him know about that.
yeah.
Okay. Hey, Leandro, if people want to do that at home and trial the two, what were they? Because I don't even know. Was it the...
Very easy to do.
Yeah.
For the first oil will be our Cobram Estate Classic. That
I've got the
purple
bottles
label.
here.
Yes, it is. That's the one.
So this purple one was the first one?
The purple one, the
Yummy.
classic, middle of the range, medium in intensity. And the
That's the
second
Darcy
one, the
sort of
more
one.
robust one, the more punchy and peppery one,
Sounds like
is
me.
that Coratina on the black label.
Bold, intense.
There you go.
That's me. That was fantastic. Okay, so if people want to try this, they can test along, see if they taste what we did. Bold, intense. And then Darcy, just the classic.
Straight shooter.
Yeah, how good was that?
With that.
Sorry, it's still in my throat. Sean, before we finish up, misconceptions.
Yes.
We spoke about a few of them today, but how much oil or extra virgin olive oil, sorry, do you actually want to have a day? And does it matter if it's raw versus cooked, or how does that?
Yeah, we usually say 2 to 3 tablespoons
Yeah.
every day. So that's probably more than most people are having. I'd
Yeah.
say I think the average Australian's having about 1 tablespoon a day.
But in the food, does that count?
Well, however,
or-
however you like. So cooking with it, you can drizzle it, you can have it on salads, you can cook with it, you can bake with it, as we were talking about before. Lots of different ways to get it in there. But yeah, it doesn't matter so much, but 2 to 3 tablespoons every day. So that is quite a bit. It's probably more than
Tablespoons.
most
Bigger
people.
than a teaspoon.
Yeah.
But also when you think that you should also have, as a recommendation, a number of serves of veggies per
Yeah.
day. Well, either by drizzling the veggies with the oil or using the oil to saute the veggies or to fry them or to grill them or even doing, wilted spinach and then you
Yeah.
just pour on top of it. Is thinking about, a tablespoon per serve of veggie in a different way that you use
Yeah.
it. That normally, that's how the Mediterranean diet would do it. That's how my grandma would do it.
Yeah.
For sure. It sounds a lot when you say it like that, but yeah, if you're just drizzling it over
Yeah,
something.
just however you like it. We've got people at work who put it in their coffee in the morning.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Do they really? Why do they do that?
Personal
Well, I suppose
preference.
it's very nice. and
Well,
creamy.
instead of, if you think about your milk, really what it does bring to the coffee is a bit of that fat component that really helps to tone down the bitterness of the coffee. Same as we talk about the chocolate, the same
put it
the same
on-
principle. So when you
That's
put the oil,
unbelievable.
makes the coffee taste a little bit smoother, but without the milk component diluting the flavor of the coffee. So you still get
So you need the milk with it.
no. You can have olive
Black.
oil with a bit of oil, and the coffee with a bit of oil. What you will have is a still fully flavored coffee, but not feeling as bitter. That's how it works.
You don't have to do
We're
that.
going to
though.
try this. We're going to try this because I do actually like drinking an espresso. I like to have one milk coffee in the morning, then I'm an
Yeah.
espresso guy.
Yeah,
And I like eggs. Did I mention that?
we heard.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cooked well. Hey, top 3 takeaways today because there's been a lot learned. I think the big one is antioxidants. They sweep the free radicals. That is just... I can't believe they're actually called free radicals. It's a very
Yeah.
cool sort of name for something so dangerous. But 3 tablespoons a day can help prevent any of these free radicals building up.
Yeah, 3 tablespoons a day, we'll say, can help the antioxidants.
Keeps the doctor away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll go
love
with
it. Number 2.
You
What's
can
number 2?
definitely cook with olive oil. You can definitely cook with extra virgin olive
And
oil.
you
No
should.
problems at all.
Yes.
In fact, not only that you can, you should be cooking with extra virgin olive oil.
Yeah.
And number 3, the big difference between on the shelf, when people go in there and have a look, no matter, obviously Cobram's a great product, best in the world, but extra virgin is...
Extra virgin olive
the
oil.
difference between extra virgin and olive oil is not minor. It's quite a
not
big
minor
thing.
at all. So
Yeah.
they are very different products. So extra virgin olive oil is the only olive oil that delivers all the flavor and the health aspects that usually dietitians and doctors talk about when they're referring to the impact of extra virgin olive oil on a diet. And the reason why we focus so much on Australian is because extra virgin olive oil is a fresh product. And like most other fresh products, local is usually fresher and fresher is better. And being in Australia, we have that massive advantage of having access to fantastic locally produced, olive oils. This definitely would be the things that I look for: extra virgin, locally produced, especially if you know who the producer is. Also, as if you're going to a market and buying some oranges or apples, just know the producer, buy it locally, buy it fresh.
Yeah, so cool to be knowing that you're supporting an Australian company, which means a lot to a lot of us here too. Last question, because I actually didn't get to ask this when we were at Boundary Bend, but why is that area so good for growing olives?
Well, olives are initially, original from the Mediterranean. They really enjoy what we call Mediterranean climate. That is cool, wet winters, dry, hot summers. Northern Victoria, southern part of New South Wales, and a bit of South Australia has that perfect climate, really nice, warm, hot, dry summers that allows the olives to fully develop, accumulate the oil, develop those flavors that we tasted today, and not having an issue with pests and disease. Australia has one of those advantages over the rest of the world, is that the main pests affecting olives, like olive fly or olive moth, are not present in Australia. We're actually free from them. That is an extra bonus about why the quality of the olives are good.
Thank God. Last one. I always do the intros and ask 4 more outros, ask 4 more questions. Was with wine as well, we speak about how like you plant it, it's like 3 years before you see a grape. What's the process around that planting versus seeing olives on a tree?
Similar. It takes about 3 years to have the first crop, around 7 years for the trees to reach maturity, and then the olive trees can live for thousands of years. But commercially speaking, normally an olive orchard will live about 40, 50 years, and then you start thinking about potentially replanting. Probably another thing that we should mention as well with extra virgin olive oil is don't cellar it. Use it. Don't leave it at home. If you get a nice bottle of olive oil, and what we normally recommend is just buy enough olive oil that you're going to go through with your family over 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're living alone and you don't use a lot, get a 375 ml bottle. If you're a big family using a lot, okay, yes, go for the teens. But ideally, pick up as much olive oil as you're going to go through over 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's not like wine in the sense like you hold it for a good occasion. It's like
No.
once you've opened it, you want to use it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And don't put it next to the stove. Well, now we're just throwing facts at you,
my
but
God, I love facts.
Keep it in a cool, dark place.
cool dark place, because it'll start to degrade quicker next to that heat.
Not just olive oil, every other oil, just keep it in a cool, dark place.
We shouldn't have any other oil, but extra virgin's our one. Hey, Leandro, Sian, thank you so much today. I've actually genuinely learned a lot. Darcy, did you learn some things?
I did. I didn't think I needed to learn anything about it.
That's what I mean. I don't think people knew that you needed to be educated on it.
Yeah, that's good.
Are you going to go to the shops and have a look at some
Certainly
products?
am. Not going to load up. I'm just going to get enough to
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks.
Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us.
Thank you. Cheers.